In 2010, David Fincher's The Social Network hit theaters, not just as a biopic of Facebook's origins, but as a sharp social critique. What seemed like the story of a startup quickly revealed itself as a reflection of ambition, isolation, betrayal, and the dark side of digital connection. This is how the social network holds up as a mirror to our society. The irony at the heart of the social network is that it tells the story of a man who created a platform to connect people, yet grows more alienated with every click. Mark Zuckerberg, portrayed by Jesse Eisenberg, builds Facebook to gain social acceptance, but the more successful he becomes, the more alone he gets. The film critiques the way digital platforms promise intimacy, yet often leave us lonelier. Facebook was born out of insecurity and social exclusion, and that emotional DNA is embedded in its design. The movie also dissects how tech success is often built on betrayal, from the Wickенvoss twins' idea being appropriated to Eduardo Saverin being pushed out. The social network shows how ruthless ambition and ego override loyalty. In today's tech landscape, where founders become billionaires overnight, the film asks a hard question. What does it cost to win in this world, and is it worth it? The film is also a critique of gender privilege and status. Harvard's elite clubs are portrayed as the true gatekeepers of success. Zuckerberg wants in, not just online, but into the world of social power. Women in the film are mostly sidelined or objectified, mirroring the real-world gender issues in tech culture. The movie doesn't endorse this, it exposes it, showing how Silicon Valley's origins are steeped in a frat boy elitism and toxic aspects. Released in 2010, The Social Network was eerily prophetic. Since then, Facebook has been embroiled in scandals around data privacy, election interference, and mental health. Watching the film now, it feels less like a drama and more like a warning or a documentary. It doesn't villainize Zuckerberg. It presents him as a product of his environment, but it does challenge us to think about the values we reward: innovation or empathy, power or integrity. In the end, the social network isn't just about Facebook, it's about us. Our obsession with status, our hunger for validation, our willingness to trade connection for control are all perceived and portrayed in the movie intelligently through the actors. Considering some of the events in society at the period, we tend to see that the social network surprisingly dropped in the period where social media was gaining a lot of the traction which led it to be what it is today. The Social Network is a movie about the biggest and arguably the first and most influential social media company, Facebook, which later became Meta, which now owns Instagram and other platforms. And it is completely based around the creation of that platform. Yet, it is not just a documentary, it is a critique of society. Now, it is very interesting that the directors chose to do this, and it is deliberate that they chose to use the story of the creation of Facebook to make a movie that had great cultural impact on people and that targeted different aspects of society, from elitism to social class to the use of social media and to the way that we socialize in the modern era. For example, elitism is covered through the introduction to Harvard being one of the most elite colleges in the world, where we see the student populace that behaves very differently in certain aspects than the average college or state school in the United States. We see that frat culture is much more elitist, and that these circles that form in these universities go on to be very influential figures in society that in some ways could support classism and elitism. We see that through Zuckerberg, through his eyes, as he tries to navigate that kind of layer and form of elitism in his own right. Being a naturally closed and shy individual, his innovation is what gets him into those groups, as they see his skill and genius as almost a tool, but it is in turn a tool that he uses to give himself power, traction, and a presence in that world. At the same time, social media and this idea of socialization through networks and the internet is also critiqued. Facebook and its creation already shows some of the small signs of isolation and possibly even depression and kind of shying away from social contact with other people in an intimate way in the beginnings of the movie and throughout its creation, as we can see that people utilize it to kind of replace a lot of the traditional social mannerisms that they would act out throughout their day. This is a big thing in the 2010s to 2015 and onwards. It is one of the biggest things that people talk about in society. Overall, Facebook and the movie The Social Network is one of the most culturally impacting movies because it addresses and it kind of critiques not only society, but it also critiques every single individual that partakes in social media, while at the same time critiquing the levels of classism in society.